The Detroit Lions just had their best season in nearly 7 years. You'd think it'd be a great time of jubilation for Lions fans. However, though, there's a controversy that's stirring that could in fact tear apart the fan base of the Detroit Lions. And we're going to talk about it in today's episode, folks, so stay tuned.
We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then. This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes! Caught!
You know who we are.
10-5, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions. And
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving in. But before we dive on in, I just want to give a big thanks to all my loyal fans and subscribers that are coming on back. Totally means the world to me that you guys keep devoting more time to watching the show. I'm thankful for each and every one of y'all. And to those that are tuning in my show for the very first time, thank you for devoting some of your time as well. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the content, but even more so, I hope to gain your subscription if I've earned and deserved it. And with that, to everybody, I just want to say, hope you all having a great day. God bless, and let's get into the show here. So, here's the thing, folks. This season, 2023, we've seen the Lions have, by far, the most successful season they've had since 1957. I mean, just take a look at the statistics, take a look at the facts, take a look at the record, take a look at everything that happened this year. You can't deny it. We went 12-5, the best record we've had since 1991 when we set the record for the best record that the team has had in franchise history. So we tied that. We got our first division crown in the NFC North ever. We had our first division crown in freaking 30 years since we last won it in the 1993 season in the NFC Central Division. We had 2 playoff victories in the same year, something that has not happened since 1957. And we got to the NFC Conference Championship game for the first time since 1991 as well. So again, you would think, based upon all that Lions fans would be very, very happy. They would be content, at least for the moment, with the success that the Lions had this year because it's been a very, very successful year. However, though, that does not appear to be the case for some Lions fans. Now, why is that the case? Well, let's just understand it. In spite of the fact that the Lions have had their best season since 1957, as I just eloquently put out there are some fans that are adamant that a shakeup of massive proportions has to be administered to this team to, in their opinion, get the team over the hump, so that way they can win that Super Bowl or get to that Super Bowl. Now, some people would be like, well, what's the difference? What's that big shakeup? Well, I'm just going to cut straight to the quick here. It's getting rid of quarterback Jared Goff, replacing him, if you will, with quarterback Hendon Hooker, the guy we just drafted in the 3rd round last year. Now, I've had this conversation at least a little bit before, a couple of months ago. I made a video about it. I'll put the episode back up at the top. But here's what I'm going to say. When you think about it, normally in the past, I would have just kind of, chalked this up to some Lions fans being malcontent because it's like, hey, you know what? The season's over. We really don't have anything else to talk about. Now we're just going to start talking about some nonsensical, ridiculous crap because we're bored. But I got to understand this for where it's coming from. After everything that's happened this year and how well the season has gone, how well Jared Goff has done, and how well the team is doing, I just have to put this out there. These people that are advocating for Hendon Hooker to take over, not even if this year, next year, or anytime soon, they're completely dense. And I don't mean that to be completely rude, but it's the truth. They're dense. Because we have to understand something here. Hendon Hooker has talent. I am not going to take that away from him. He is a talented player. But we also have to understand why Hendon Hooker playing right now or any time in the immediate future, like for the next 3, 4, 5 years, makes no damn sense. So for me, I decided to say, okay, I'm going to re-dive back into this topic, and I'm going to go even deeper into this topic to try and prove the point here about why replacing Goff with Hooker is just not a good idea, first and foremost, but second of all, it's not going to happen. So I decided to say, okay, let's give the Hendon Hooker fanatics their due. Let's actually take a look at their side of the equation, and let's be fair to them. So I said, okay, let's take a look at what Hendon Hooker has to provide as a player, as a quarterback. What does he have to provide? And this is just based off of just general stuff. We're not getting too far into it because, well, we haven't really seen anything that he's done in the NFL. We're basing this entirely off of what we've seen him do in college. So what do we know? Well, he has a lot of starting experience in college. He pretty much was in college, 5 years? He started like 3 of them. So he's got a lot of college experience. He's a much more mobile quarterback than Jared Goff. Not going to deny that. He's got a very strong arm. We've seen him in some of his highlight films being able to throw the ball from multiple angles, so he's got arm flexibility. So we know that he's got that. We also know that he is an accurate thrower. It's not like his throws are all over the place or that it makes his receivers have to do acrobatic catches, so we know he's accurate. So he has some things that are positive. However, though, that's not the only thing that Hendon Hooker brings to the table. There are things that he also brings to the table that are not good, such as the fact that when he was at Tennessee, he was a non-progression thrower, which leads into another problem about him being a slow processor. His lack of ability to progress through reads to find open receivers after the first read is taken away is a huge problem in the NFL because you have to be able to progress and read defenses. Otherwise, you're going to rely more on your legs, which is a huge problem for college quarterbacks nowadays. Oh, here's where that leads into another problem. Mobile quarterbacks that rely more on their legs rather than their arms, they usually start running into problems, such as injury concerns. You don't believe me? Ask RG3 and Cam Newton how their careers went after their bodies started breaking down. Pretty much weren't able to do anything because they didn't develop as passers primarily. They were still running the ball. And then again, if some people are like, oh, well, having a mobile quarterback's more fun, it's more flashy, it allows the offense to have more options. Okay, fair enough here. But may I remind you that we just saw a mobile quarterback in Lamar Jackson who literally freaking crapped the bed against the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that was significantly less talented than his team, and yet he's the most mobile quarterback in the NFL, and he had probably the worst quarterback game of any quarterback in the playoffs. So again, having the ability to be mobile is not necessarily a safe all. So there's that. And again, we've also seen the fact that in the past in college, he had injury concerns because he had an injury in college on a non-contact play. So again, there's that. And then finally, I'm just going to say this right now. People get tired of me bringing up Hendon Hooker's age, and I'm sure a lot of people are tired of hearing it too, but it's like, listen, at 26 years old, are you an old person? No, you're not. You're not old. But for football, you are old, especially if it's your very first year playing. Think about it, folks. He turned 26 at the end of his rookie year. Most guys, when they get to the NFL level, their rookie year, they're 21, 22, maybe 23 years old. He's got literally 3 to 4 years of age on those guys. That's a problem. You're going to be way behind the 8 ball in comparison to other guys. And that's true with Hendon Hooker. I don't care how much college experience you got. It don't make a damn bit of difference when you get to the NFL. And this leads me into my second point here, because I've heard a lot of Hendon Hooker fanatics. They're like, oh, but David, take a look at his highlight tapes. Take a look at his stats. He did so much in freaking college. Okay, back up here. There's a reason why it's called a highlight tape. A highlight tape just shows what Hendon Hooker did really well, which, don't get me wrong, Hendon Hooker did a lot of great things in college. The stats back it up. Again, you take a look at the 2 years that Hendon Hooker was in college, his stats were absolutely phenomenal. Almost 69 completion percentage rate, 6,000 yards, 58 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Not going to deny it. Those are amazing numbers. The numbers look great, and they should look great based upon the system he was in. However, this is where I'm going to kind of turn this on its head a little bit, because everyone wants to talk about, oh, the college numbers, they were great, they were this, they were that. Okay, I'm just going to play a little game here with y'all. I'm going to put some stats up on the screen, and I'm just going to say, okay, do you guys think that based upon these stats, this guy was a great NFL quarterback? Because these are college stats. So here are these first stats. We have 1,157 completions to 1,658 attempts, almost 70 completion percentage rate, almost 15,000 yards, 142 touchdowns to 28 interceptions. Absolutely stupendous numbers. Must have been a great NFL quarterback. Nope. Those are Kellen Moore's numbers. Kellen Moore did absolutely nothing in the NFL. He was a backup, maybe played a game here or there, did nothing in the NFL as a quarterback. So there's that first example. Oh, but that's just a one-off, David. You can't use that as primary example. You got to give more. Okay, fine. Take a look at this next quarterback. 661 completions to 995 attempts, 66 completion percentage rate, almost 10,000 yards, 88 touchdowns to 16 interceptions. Surely this guy did well in the NFL, had to have done well in the NFL. Nope. These are Tim Tebow's numbers when he was at Florida. I think we all know how bad Tim Tebow was. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat as a quarterback. Hence the reason why he was done as a quarterback very shortly into his career, left to go play baseball, and then had to come back in the NFL only after he agreed to switch to playing tight end because nobody wanted him as a quarterback. So then there's that. Oh, but David, that's only 2 examples. You got to give at least 3. Okay, fair enough. Here's a third example. Let's take a look at this one. 46 completions, 2,229 attempts, almost 70 completion percentage rate, almost 20,000 yards passing, 155 touchdowns to 46 interceptions. This is by far the best one that I've got in terms of stat production, so he must have been a great quarterback. Wrong again. This is Case Keenum's numbers. Case Keenum at best has been a journeyman. He's had one really great year with the Vikings. The rest of his time, he's been a journeyman or a backup quarterback. My point of the matter is this with the numbers don't mean a damn thing in college because when you have a great prolific career in college, it does not necessarily translate to success in the NFL. And those 3 quarterbacks that I just gave are proof positive that it does not matter what kind of numbers you put up in college. It does not translate automatically to the NFL. So just because Hendon Hooker had a great college career don't mean jack diddly poo. So there's that point. Number 2, again, I'm going to keep harping on the age here because it's like, listen, there are a lot of people that want to say, oh, Hendon Hooker's 25, 26-year-old, he's a mature man, he's a great leader, he's respected. Okay, I'm just going to say this once again here. Because of the fact that Hendon Hooker is now 26 years old, he is literally 4 to 5 years behind in normal development compared to most other NFL quarterbacks when they come into the NFL. Most quarterbacks, when they get drafted, are usually around that 22, 23 range. They don't come in at 25 or 26. It just does not happen. And again, there's a good, valid reason for this. Because if you go to ESPN has literally put the data together. There have only been 9 quarterbacks that are 25 years or older that have been drafted in the modern NFL draft. Only 9. Of those 9, I have half of them on a list. I couldn't even find the other 4. But the 5 that are on a list, Brandon Weeden, a bust. Chris Weinke, a bust. Then you got Jim Druckenmiller, a bust. Then you got John Beck, a bust. And then you have Hendon Hooker, who's just got a whole bunch of question marks around him. So it's like, wait a minute here. You take a look at all the quarterbacks that I just mentioned that were drafted, that were 25 years or older when they were drafted, except for Hendon Hooker, because we have no data on him from the NFL. What was Brandon Weeden's record as a quarterback? 6-19. What was John Beck's record as a quarterback? 0-7. What was Chris Weinke's record? 2-18. What was Jim Druckenmiller's? It was 1-0. He played in one game, he got lucky, he won. But if you take a look at every single quarterback and you add them all up, the total win percentage for those 4 quarterbacks is 9-44, which is .169 win percentage. That's horrible. There's a reason why, because when you are coming into the show late, you are operating at a disadvantage to most other players that have had 4 to 5 years to perfect and hone their craft when you are just starting. I'm sorry, but it's like, listen, if you're hoping you're going to try and play catch-up when other guys have had 4 to 5 years to already be in the trenches, already have learned what it means to be a pro, already learned their position, learn how to play, and you think that's going to make a bit of a difference, it's not. Age is a huge problem because the later you acclimate to the NFL and being a pro player, the harder it is for you to maintain and have success. It's a fact. And the reason why I can say this is because I know that there are some people that are going to say, well, David, you're still not being fair. What about guys that came in that were older like Warren Moon, Jeff Garcia, Kurt Warner, or Roger Staubach? Okay, fine. Let's have that argument too. Kurt Warner, Warren Moon, and Jeff Garcia, when they got into the NFL, they had been in professional leagues prior to the NFL. Kurt Warner, if I recall correctly, had been in NFL Europe. He'd been in the USFL, the XFL. He already knew what it was like to be a professional player. And in fact, he'd played for the Packers prior to going to the Rams. Same thing with Warren Moon. Before Warren Moon got his start in the NFL, he went to the CFL and won Grey Cups up there with them. Jeff Garcia, same thing, played in professional league before he joined the 49ers. All of those guys were in professional leagues. They already knew what it was like to be a pro. They already understood their jobs, their assignments. So they were taking one professional job and translating it over to another. It's not the same for Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker is coming straight out of college as a 25-year-old, now 26-year-old man, and he's never played a damn snap of professional football. Yeah, that's a huge difference between college and pro level. Massive difference. Now, some people are going to say, well, what about Roger Staubach? Roger Staubach got drafted, went into the Navy, fulfilled his years, and then he came out and he started playing. Roger Staubach is the only example I can find that actually fits that narrative, but there's a bit of a problem with that. First and foremost, Roger Staubach, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. It's kind of hard to say that a rookie quarterback is going to turn into a Hall of Fame quarterback, especially when that Hall of Fame quarterback played back in the 1960s and 70s. Completely different game now in 2023 compared to the 60s and 70s. Not anywhere close to the same kind of complexity of offenses and passing games that we have now compared to back in the 60s and 70s. Not even close. The game back in the 60s and 70s was still pretty much run the ball to death and you passed the ball whenever you had to. Not nowadays where it's pass first, run last. And again, Roger Staubach retired in 1979. That's 45 years removed from now, folks. So again, it does not compute, it does not compare. So the point of the matter is that when you take a look at Hendon Hooker's age and where he was drafted, I'm telling you this right now, because of his age, because of the injury he had that was a non-contact play, there's a lot of concerns about him potentially being a starter. And then this leads into the point of what I'm talking about here. What did freaking Brad Holmes say when we got into last offseason about the backup quarterback position? He said, I'm going to upgrade the backup quarterback position, which, he did that drafting Hendon Hooker. And then what did they say about Hendon Hooker? We want him to develop and we want him to learn. Nowhere in that entire statement did Brad Holmes or Dan Campbell say he's coming in to compete. Never once came up for conversation. So when you take it all that, now let's consider the fact of Jared Goff's side of this whole coin here. Because let's take a look at Jared Goff here. He's the first Lions quarterback to get the Lions to a division crown since 1993, when the last quarterback that did that was Rodney Peete, if I recall correctly. He's the first Lions quarterback to get the Lions a playoff victory since 1991, which was Eric Kramer. He's the first Lions quarterback to get 2 straight playoff victories since 1957. And he's one of 5 quarterbacks to be able to get 2 different teams to a conference championship game. You want to know who those 5 quarterbacks are? Actually, the 4 other ones besides Goff. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Kurt Warner, and Brett Favre. Manning, Brady, Warner, Favre. All of those guys are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. The only one on that list that hasn't joined that group would be Jared Goff. It's kind of hard to get 1 team to a conference championship game, let alone 2. So there's that about Jared Goff. Oh, and the final one here is that, actually there's 2 final ones. Jared Goff is also one of 3 quarterbacks to win 14-plus games in one single season with 2 separate franchises. That includes the playoffs. Again, those 3 quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Jared Goff. Again, 2 of the greatest to ever play the game in Jared Goff. That's pretty interesting. And then the last one, Jared Goff is the only quarterback in NFL history to snap 10-plus year playoff droughts for multiple teams. He did it in 2019 with the Rams and in 2023 with the Lions. So Jared Goff has done quite a lot just in this 1 year of putting himself in NFL history among some of the best that have ever played the damn game. Oh, and by the way, ever since Jared Goff joined the Lions in 2021, take a look at these stats. Jared Goff has completed almost 67% of his passes, almost 12,500 yards, almost 80 touchdowns to only 27 interceptions with a 96.5 passer rating. The yards are ranked 4th since 2021. The touchdowns are ranked 7th since 2021. And the passer rating is ranked 10th since 2021. So you have a quarterback that is literally, I mean this, ranked in there with some of the best that have ever played the game. Warner, Peyton, Tom Brady, the list goes on, and you are literally trying to tell me, oh, well, we want to put a guy in there in Hendon Hooker who has not yet played a damn snap of professional football versus a guy who has gotten us to a conference championship game, won us 2 playoff victories in the same year, won a division crown, snapped playoff droughts for 2 separate teams, which no other quarterback has done, got a second franchise to 14-plus wins in the same season, which has only been done by 2 other quarterbacks, and on top of that, got 2 separate teams, this being the second team, to a conference championship game when only 4 other quarterbacks have done that. And, oh, by the way, all 4 of those quarterbacks are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Favre, Warner, Peyton, and Tom Brady. You're telling me you want to get rid of all of that for Hendon Hooker? Do you realize how much of an idiotic, asinine, dumb, dense statement that is? Because let me ask you this question here. Why would that make any sense when we consider the fact that not only has Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, and Tom Pelissero have all said the exact same thing, that the Lions and Jared Goff are working on an extension this offseason to keep Jared Goff in Detroit, for substantially longer. We don't know what the length or terms of the deal are going to be, but again, I keep saying it's probably going to be about a 4 to 5 year deal with about $160 to $250 million worth of value on it. You sign a quarterback to that much money, I don't care who you've got. You're not going to be pulling him unless he plays absolutely atrocious. And, like I just pointed out there, since 2021, Jared Goff has been top 10 in pass rating, top 7 in freaking passing touchdowns, and top 5 in passing yards. Kind of hard to really argue that point when, you've got Hendon Hooker who's not thrown a single damn pass in the NFL. But wait a minute. Again, I'll play fair here. Let's consider the fact that, you know what, the Lions don't sign Jared Goff to a contract, and he just plays off the last year of his deal, and then he's done. Okay, now you have Hendon Hooker coming in at 27 years old almost, 28 actually, almost by the time he starts playing. And again, as I just demonstrated with the other quarterbacks that have come in really, really late, they have not done very well. So let me put this out there. You want to get rid of a guy who's in his prime, who got you almost 1 game away from the Super Bowl, for a guy who's not even played in a damn preseason game. Do you realize how idiotic that is? I'm sorry, it's just idiotic. And I can't put it more bluntly than that. Now finally, let's consider this last bit of information here. Why would you want to get rid of a guy that is clearly performing at a top 5, top 10 level for a guy that, for his age, the college system he's coming from, the injury history that he has, you are wanting to replace Jared Goff for a guy that is anything but a surefire bet. Again, you take a look at the college quarterback to NFL quarterback transition success rate, you are talking about a 65 to 70% fail rate for quarterbacks. So you have no guarantee that Hendon Hooker is going to work out. But we have these Hendon Hooker fanatics that are just like, well, we think he's going to because we've heard such great promise. We've seen the highlight tapes. We've seen the stats. But as I just demonstrated, Kellen Moore had great stats. Tim Tebow had great stats. Case Keenum had great stats. And they all bombed out. Other quarterbacks that have bombed out that went to the NFL. Jamarcus Russell, Kyle Bowler, freaking Ryan Leaf. All of those guys were highly touted prospects when they came out of college. All of them failed. Again, this goes back to what Brad Holmes said, and I stick by it to my dying breath. It is a lot easier to get worse at quarterback than it is to get better at quarterback. You decide to get rid of Jared Goff and you put all of your marbles, you put all of your hopes and prayers on Hendon Hooker potentially playing out. You're putting a huge, huge gamble that Hendon Hooker is going to be able to somehow make it all magically work when in the NFL, there is no such sure thing that that's going to happen. It's either you got it or you don't. And we ain't seen if Hendon Hooker's got it. And at his age, I don't think he's going to ever get it because he's so far behind the curveball compared to other guys. That's just my honest opinion. And again, when you consider everything else I've said about Jared Goff potentially, well, not even potentially, most likely, almost 90% sure going to get a contract extension, it just simply makes no sense for people to keep pushing the Hendon Hooker narrative. It's like, listen, Hendon Hooker is going to do one of two things here in Detroit. He's either going to be a backup or eventually he's going to leave and go find greener pastures somewhere else. I don't see a likelihood of him being a starter here because of the fact that Jared Goff has played himself into a beautiful position where he's going to be the long-term guy here, which is exactly what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell envisioned when they traded for him. So again, can we stop the Hendon Hooker push narrative of getting him out there and playing? It's like, listen, he's going to sit, he's going to develop, he's going to learn. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to be pushing for a starting job. He's not going to be seeing the field as a starter. The only reason that Hendon Hooker is going to see the field is if Jared Goff gets hurt. And knock on wood, that's not likely to happen, and I hope it doesn't happen. But that's my whole point with the episode. Enough is enough. This controversial topic is getting ridiculous. I've heard about it from multiple fans on Facebook, Twitter, and the whole 9 yards. It's like, listen, let the damn thing go. Hooker's not starting. Hooker's not playing anytime soon unless it's a preseason game or if it's a meaningless game where the Lions are already up by 35 points. That's the facts. But anyway, enough of that. With that having been said, I just want to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I hope you all enjoyed the content. If not, I'm sorry about your bad luck. But I also just want to say, please, do one of these 3 things. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you do chance to decide to comment, please at least be respectful. If you decided to subscribe, thank you for subscribing. If you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, please subscribe. It helps out the channel. But I also want to encourage y'all, please, make sure you turn on that bell notification icon as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers are always going up, but we want to make sure you turn on the notification icon as well, so that way you guys can always come back as soon as I release something else. To help in that endeavor, I also ask you, please share the content with your friends and family members. Share it with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Share it anywhere and everywhere you can with anybody and everybody that you can. And with that being said, to everybody, I just want to again say, hope you all enjoyed the content. I hope to have gained you subscribers. If not, hopefully I'll get you on the next go-around. But until that time, I just want to say to everybody, God bless. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.